So just to take a moment and thank everyone who is able to attend. We wanted this session, this virtual summit, to be relevant, timely, and able to draw in your attention for just a little bit of time. So what I ask is that during our opening session and our concurrent session is that you just close your email if you can, flip your phone over for a little bit of time, and try to engage in this work. Set aside the noise for a little bit and try to think about what your role is in all of this and where you want it to be. Take a look at all of the districts that we have throughout the state and also organizations outside of the state representing Florida Code and our districts in the state of Florida. If we take those in attendance and we lay it over a map of Florida, this is what it looks like. You'll see very few areas that don't have any of this shading around them. These are people who are attending today and that you can reach out and ask questions to. So if you have any lingering questions or you're not really sure about where to go next, just take a look around you on this map and previously some of the districts who are in attendance and reach out. Part of what we do is build community around not only the data standard and the technologies in Florida Code, we also build community with each other. So sometimes we are able to build these relationships and collaborate on things that are beyond. So just to take a look around and see who's in attendance, and a sincere thank you for taking time out of your busy day to attend this session. We have really long breaks, about 15 minutes, which seems like a massive amount of time, but during those 15 minutes, I encourage you to do biotech breaks. Go grab another cup of coffee, freshen up, check your email, shoot off a quick text. And then at those times when you're in the session, please be engaged and ask questions. Save up those really hard questions for the second session. Sharab will go over some of that today, where you can just really ask us anything you want to ask us about Florida Code, EdFi technologies, that sort of thing. So Florida Code, and we'll go really in depth. So if you're just wondering what Florida Code is, we'll go really in depth to that. But basically, the code part of that is the collaborative on operational data for educators. We have a group of districts that get together and collaborate around not only the EdFi technologies and standards, but also other things that impact education in our collaborative. Our steering committee really defines what we're going to do for the year, and they inform our board of directors so that we make the best decisions about how we can move forward collectively and help lighten the load and make work easy for all. Our Florida Code officers, Sharad Keen, our president, Christy Sadler, our treasurer, Nicole Jones, our secretary, Taylor Brown, our subject matter experts, they're the ones that are every day working for the collaborative. They help organize this event. They're behind the scenes right now, except you'll see Sharad in a minute, but everybody else is, behind the scenes, these officers that work really hard. So a sincere thank you for putting this presentation together. And also these are names that you can reach out to if you have questions about the collaborative, next steps, and those sorts of things. So our board is made up from a director from each one of our collaborative members. So we also have member representation from vendors, which is awesome because we want to be good partners with not only our school districts, but we realize that vendors are really a force multiplier. They can help us out with complex situations, and our board represents the vendor perspective as well as the district perspective. We also have some former state level officials who are part of our board and also part of the people who inform our board when we meet. And just to really thank John Simon and Rick Rozelle for being there since the beginning. They helped us found Florida Code just a little while ago, about as long as we've been having these summits. So thank you to them as well. If you have aha moments, you're like, wow, I get it now. Oh, you were talking about this operational data store. You're talking about, something called an AIP or an APO or an API. I'm not sure what it is, but I think I need that to do my work. Awesome. Let me go ahead and share that out. You can share with our @NEFAC Twitter account, or you can use the hashtag Florida Code. And then if you have questions, you can also answer them on, ask them on there, and then we'll follow back up with you. So what I like to do with all of our sessions, and we've done this at every summit that we've had, is we talk about what our desired outcomes are for the day. So it's just an opportunity to take a few moments to reflect and think about, wow, I went to this thing today. I took time out of my day. I focused, I asked really good questions. So what do I get out of this? So here are some of the outcomes that we're really working on today. And I encourage you to go back to these throughout your sessions and when we wrap things up at the end of the day. So understand the value of data standards and operational data store. Communicate the vision of Florida Code to your stakeholders, and then plan your immediate next step as a result of your learning today. So these are things that we'll just kind of reflect back to. If you start to feel overwhelmed, I want you to think about community. Florida Code is a community. We're a community of educators, of technical professionals, of just people who are interested and care about this. So there's always somebody who's able to help not only stand up and implement these things, but also to ask questions and to be a thought partner. So if you feel overwhelmed, know that there's a community and we were all there at one point. And then I want you to think about your readiness, your district's readiness, your personal readiness to take on some of these initiatives. Or when you go to these sessions, you're like, wow, I wish we could do that. Think about your readiness in your district and what kind of supports or additional professional learning that you would need in order to do that. And then know that you can always reach out to the collaborative. We're happy to answer any questions and do some follow-up specifically with you, technical questions or people that you would like to meet together and hear more about this. We encourage you to share what you've learned today and ask those questions, engage the best you can, and know that there's a community to support you. So I would like to take a moment now to introduce Sharad Keene. Sharad Keene is the president of Florida Code. He has been here since the beginning. He was a subject matter expert. He's amazing at technology. He understands and he has a passion for our collaborative, which has really carried us forward. And I encourage you to reach out and have more conversations with him. And without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Sharad Keene.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Shane, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shane. I want to welcome everyone to the summit. Wow, so different to do the summit virtually this year. If you've been to the summit in the past, you know we typically do it in person. Of course, with everything going on with the pandemic, that's kind of changed things a little bit. We really, really hope that you enjoyed today, that you get a lot of information out of today. We've spent some time planning some great sessions for you. And to really try to, the whole purpose of us doing this summit is to really embrace the idea of a collaborative, right? Here, what better way of trying to tackle, things with student data, HR data, things in our district, these problems we're trying to solve, than to do it together. And, so that's why we like to do these summits. We like to get us all together. We like to get us the conversation started. And hopefully, plant some seeds in your idea about some things that you could be doing in your districts, to let you know, to introduce you to those people that are members of this collaborative of districts that I'm going to be talking about here for a second. And then also hopefully water. So some of you that have kind of had this bouncing around in your head for a while, there's got to be a better way of doing things. Hopefully we'll have some aha moments today. I want to thank Shane for getting us started this morning. Appreciate the introduction. Shane has been a wonderful colleague and an excellent founding member of Florida Code. He and Daniel Hornsby, together really worked hard along with Pasco and Rick Rozelle to get this started. So we thank you guys. All the groundwork and stuff that you laid over the years has really kind of made this possible. We love seeing all of you here. So let's talk for a minute about the mission of Florida Code. What is Florida Code? A lot of times I have people ask me, so what exactly is Florida Code? And I hear the word, Florida Code kind of get thrown around in different ways. So I always like to just take an opportunity to explain to everyone what is Florida Code. So the slide you see in front of you has a mission there, a very short mission that says provide a modern data infrastructure to simplify the integration and use of education data at all levels. If you take a look at the images there, you can see various images that represent various levels of our educational system here in Florida. We have on the far left, we have the state entity that helps guide us and direct us on collecting data and presenting data and what do we do with data. And of course, a lot of our funding in our districts is a result of data and how do we report that data. And that trickles down to the district level. Districts, a lot of you attendees are actually from the district level in your organization, in your schools. And so you know this very well, how much pressure there is on reporting and getting things just right with data. And then really the end goal of all this, right, is, and our attention for all this and the effort and the reason everything exists is to help educate our children. So we don't want to forget that teacher in that classroom. And what are we doing to help enable teachers to see their kids as in a whole, in a full 360 degree angle, what's happening on all sides with the student, where are they at? And not just like as a classroom at a high level, but each individual student. Over the years, and especially even with this pandemic, it's been so important to know each individual student. A lot of you realized at the end of last year and some of the beginning of this year, we have so much more students that are virtual. Even our conference today is virtual. I'm staring at a camera right now. I know there are others on the other side looking at me, but that's challenging, right? And so instead of seeing the smile on the kid's face, we really have to put a lot of emphasis on data. And we know that kid lives in a home, right? And so they're in that home, and it's we don't know what it's like for each individual student. I remember I taught middle school band for 7 years. It was a Title I school. Had a great opportunity, learned lots of things, and I just remember the joy of seeing kids when they had the smile on their face. They come to band class, and you pick things up when that happens. But now that things have been a little bit more virtual, of course, we're starting to get kids more back in our schools. But how important it is to know as much information as we can about our students. So with that in mind, Florida Code came into existence. And really the point I want to hit home to you is if you see in your upper left-hand corner, you see just a group of people, right? So when we say Florida Code, we're really just talking about collaborative and the people that make up that collaborative. And everything that's good about having a group of people together. One person can come up with a great idea that can change the world, but if that idea isn't passed on to other people, how is that really going to change the world, right? So we have help there. So we're helping each other out. We're pulling each other up and trying to tackle these challenges. The state comes out with new legislation, our senators and things, they meet, they pass legislation. We then have to meet those requirements. We also have parents, right, that come in, they want to know how their child is doing. So we have to produce reports. We have a need to integrate data from system to system. I'm sure all of you are well aware of the various level of awesome products that you use, or our vendor partners out there produce for us and that we use. A lot of times some of the challenges that we have is getting data from system to system. And so, but before we get into any of that thought, we have to like come together and say, like, how do we solve this issue? If you think about it in other things outside of education, you've got medical facilities, right, and hospitals, from hospital to hospital. How do they transfer data from one place to another? But there are people that come together and they say, let's solve this situation. Even on a mass scale, you've got your Apples and your Googles and your Amazon and all those types of things. They still have to work together to do things in a common way. For example, Bluetooth, right? How do we make music pass from one thing to another in a common way? So one of the things that Florida Code, when we joined, we said, well, let's get a group of people together to solve some of these data issues. And how do we do that? Well, one of our main focuses in Florida Code is a data standard. Let's do this in a common way. Let's take data from all these systems. Let's help all these systems interact with each other in a common way. Let's do our reporting in a common way. Let's do our integrating and our reporting. Let's help cleanse data in a common way. And so when you have this data standard, what that does is that helps us to be able to put our mind all in unity, in a sense, right? We're all thinking like along this same path. That doesn't mean we're all doing the things exactly the same. It doesn't mean we're all using the same products, but having a data standard does provide some commonality. And on top of that, if you look in the lower right of this slide, once you have things in a common way of doing it, we can all collaborate together. Again, that's what Florida Code is a collaborative that takes this. Can you go back one more? Sorry, Shane, can you go back one more slide? We take this data standard. Thank you. So we have this group of people. We take this data standard, and because it's a common way of doing it, we can then do reports. We can do data cleansing. We can clean up our data. We can integrate data. We can and the things that your district does, District A, can be shared all the way with District Z. It doesn't matter the size of the district. It doesn't matter if you're a huge district, a small district, or in between. If we begin to start thinking about how can we do things in a common way using a data standard, we could then truly be a collaborative and share things with each other. Again, it doesn't force us to be identical. It doesn't force us to do things the same, but it does help enable us. I think about a pioneer as they went out west. You don't always want to be the pioneer, right? I mean, if you think about a pioneer, they have they're trying to clear land. There is no path. And everything that pioneer learns, if you don't take and start on the path that someone else blazed, you're just starting over. Really what you're doing is you're just putting yourself behind. And so let's join together. Let's be a collaborative. Let's take the work that others have done and let's build on top of it so that we can really meet the needs of our children. This is an inflection point, really, right? In society, an inflection point for education, public education, private education. How do we do this? Things are changing. Let's work together using a common data standard to make things better. So let's go ahead with the next slide. So who is this collaborative? And that's Florida Code. You can see our logo up here. And I really want to emphasize the collaborative part. Collaborative on operational data for educators. We're embracing the data standard. We're unifying together around the EdFi data standard. Today with us in just a few minutes, I'll be introducing the president of EdFi. I'll also be speaking of, today, I think joining us today, we have a representative from the Michael Zuzendell Foundation. And so those entities have helped to align and form a common data standard using modern technology with security, FERPA, HIPAA, SIPA, all the things accounted for and based off common education data standards, CEDS.org if you want to Google that. And on top of that, that EdFi Common Data Standard, we can then do our reporting, our integrating, our cleansing. So hopefully we can go ahead and go to the next slide. So Florida Code, again, it's a group of districts. We have a few of our district logos up here. This is not all of them. I believe we're at around 20 or 21 districts that are part of the collaborative. So obviously these are not all of the pictures here. If you look in your agenda, which I'll highlight later, you can see all of our collaborative members. But man, we are, if you think about Florida, I think there's around 75, 76 districts. I believe my last count, we have about 40 districts registered to attend today. We have 20 districts that are members of the collaborative. Listen, you're doing a great job, Florida. You're doing awesome in taking notice of what we can do on top of, as a collaborative and on top of a common data standard. So I applaud you. I thank you again all for being here. We hope today that you get a lot of information out of your time, that it's valuable. I would like to go ahead and recognize Sylvia Burnett Jones. She's a technical program director from the Michael Susan Dell Foundation. She is attending with us today, and the Dell Foundation has been very generous over the years in lots of different ways. But one of the things that they do awesome at is noticing a need in education to allow data flow from system to system to do data reporting, and how can we do that in a better way. And through them, we have the EdFi organization joining us today. We have from EdFi, we have Troy Wheeler, who is we can go ahead and go to the next slide, who is Troy Wheeler, our president from EdFi. Eric Jansen, who is just a wonderful technology brain over at EdFi. Sean Casey, a wonderful partner. Many of you may have already spoken to him. If you haven't had a chance to meet Sean, a wonderful partner to help us get connected with all the pieces. And then Marcos. Marcos is a recent addition to the EdFi team on the technical side of things, and he's been a great help to me already. Without further ado, I want to go ahead and introduce the president of Troy Wheeler, of EdFi, Troy Wheeler. He's just going to take a few minutes to share a few things. He's going to take a ride with Troy. So Troy, I'd like to go ahead and pass it off to you. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll make sure. Let's see, Troy, I think I've got it to where you can unmute. I'm sorry, I had it to where you couldn't.
I believe I'm unmuted now.
There you go, man. Sorry, that was my bad.
All right, all good. Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me. Yeah, so if we could pop to is it Shane on the next slide? We're going to take a ride with Troy. So when I was asked to speak with you all this morning, I was remembering the day that it was actually Rick Roselle, I think, mentioned earlier. EdFi had been doing just a ton of work in the state space, quite frankly, because they have similar needs and similar challenges in many ways across states. And so Rick said, "Hey Troy, why don't you fly down to Florida and come talk to some folks?" It was Sherrod, Shane, and Daniel, and I'll let you figure out which one is which in this photo. But this is an actual photo I took at the time. But they're doing great work down there. And so I jumped on a plane and came down, and Rick and this team cajoled and convinced, and I was super impressed, but cajoled and convinced me that we could take the work that we'd been doing in places like Arizona and Texas and Delaware, and we could kind of scale that down, if you will, and apply those same principles about like better, faster, cheaper data, more collaboration, more shared solutions in a collaborative structure. And so as I couldn't decide which airport to go to, because it's kind of I mean, I'm from Texas, so Texas is a big state, and there's a lot of middle of nowhere in Texas, but there's a fair amount of middle of nowhere in Florida too. So picked an airport. I think it was like a 4-hour drive or something, and I thought, man, this really, Rick? Like you're dragging me to the kind of the middle of Florida. There's not even an airport here. Like, how innovative can these folks be? And I had the great opportunity to spend about 3 hours listening to the vision of this team, the leadership of what became Florida Code. It was just, I think, NEFAC at the time. And I was like, Rick, you might be right. These guys might be onto something. And so that was about 2015, 2016, maybe, if I remember correctly. And can you flip to the next slide for me? So fast forward to today, you guys are doing some different cycling. I think there was 20 logos or 20 districts participating. I understand we have maybe over half the districts in Florida on the line today. And so just like exercise is evolving and changing, you guys are growing and doing great things, and you're doing it in a group, right? You're doing it this is a collaborative. This is a spin class, I suppose. And so the value of being able to turn to your partner next to you, over your shoulder to the right or left, and ask questions, encourage one another is especially important this in the last maybe 18 months. Everybody could use a little encouragement and a little support and a feeling of belonging and community, and a sense of shared achievement. And so I think you guys have done fantastic work. What I'd like to do is maybe zoom out a bit from Florida and the Florida Code and the NEFAC folks here and all y'all on the call to a bit of a national picture. Yeah. So this is where EdFi lives today, or operates today. Again, I think the Florida Code mission and EdFi's mission are almost verbatim. You could take those words and put it on our website at any moment, and it would be 100% accurate. But you see a number of states building shared solutions, and maybe more importantly, or as importantly, evolving and proving out the data standards. So one of my favorite examples is we thought we had school calendar all kind of figured out. There was about maybe 5 states on the map at this time, and we thought we had school calendar all figured out. And then along came, I want to say it was Michigan, and they just completely blew up what we thought was, a really good way to model school calendar that was kind of universal and ubiquitous. And so you contribute to, right? You invest in this network, and you do it at a regional level with Florida Code, but also Florida Code is part of a bigger network of folks that are creating shared solutions. As an example, recently, obviously, virtual learning was a huge part of the pivot last year, and so a team of folks from all over the country came together to really figure out how to quantify in a data way, in a structured data standard way, what does attendance and engagement look like in a 100% virtual setting or a hybrid setting, and how do we quantify, calculate? How do we think about chronic absenteeism in a virtual environments? And how would we quantify and capture that? And so I think it was 7 or 8 representatives from inside the EdFi community came together and said, look, we all have this problem. Everybody went home. We don't know what attendance looks like right now. We're using some proxies, but this probably isn't the end of it. So let's get together and put forward some revisions to the data standard that help to accommodate that. So that's just a really recent example. So by being part of Florida Code, you plug into not only a network of folks right there in Florida, but also a network of folks around the country. tapped into that and share. Is there one more slide for me? I believe there is. So awesome. And then just looking forward, right? Like we could all, I think it's a time when we could all use a little bit of hope and a little bit of forward looking. So just like the spin classes evolved, Pelotons are all the rage. I think they're on back order for weeks or maybe months now. And plugging into EdFi and plugging into the collaborative allows you, again, to plug into that virtual network of folks around the country via the Florida Code, your Florida Code membership, just like the Peloton class. And so we think the change in the way we think about virtual, even this conference being virtual, has as many upsides as it does downsides. I certainly miss karaoke with the Florida Code folks is an annual thing at the EdFi Summit in Austin, Texas. But this is wonderful because I have an opportunity to spend some time with you. And so I think looking forward, as much as it's been a tough maybe 18 months on all of us, there's a lot of hope. Things are changing, and some of those changes are really positive. And so I would just encourage you to join in with the Florida Code folks if you haven't already. Certainly reach out to the EdFi team if we can help at all. And I just want to thank you for doing the really hard work, especially the last 18 months. Just so much change in so little time, and all of you dealing with some amount of home disruption, be it your own children, or I've been cohabitating with my spouse nonstop now for about 14 months, and that's not always easy either. So I just want to thank you all for leaning in, being resilient in that work, and being part of the Florida Code and the collaborative. So anyway, thanks for having me. I'll turn it back over to y'all, but congratulations on how far y'all have come, and I can't wait to see where you're headed in the future. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Troy. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for all your words. Thanks for all your support over the years. I'm missing getting to see you in person, so I'm looking forward to that day again.
Absolutely.
All right. So what we kind of want to turn our focus to now is the orientation for today. With it being virtual, with this being Florida Code's first virtual summit, we kind of wanted to just take a few moments to make sure everyone was caught up to speed on how to navigate the day. So hopefully you've been receiving some emails from myself. Here we go. So there's an agenda that looks just like this. If you're looking at it on your phone, it may not be completely obvious that you have to swipe on it, but you can swipe on it and it will take you to the next slide. And so this is where we are now in our general session. If you take a look at those the little cube, the little Teams link, when you click on that, that will get you in the session. So that's probably where you got here today. I know I sent a few emails with some direct links as well, but just in case you didn't use that part of the agenda, we can go ahead and go to the next page of the agenda. So, we're going to be divided. The agenda will kind of be broken out into tracks or strands. Each one is color coded. And the strand that we see here now is the teaching, leading, and learning strand, and it has concurrent sessions both A and B. You can see the track description there. I won't read everything for you. I'm just kind of highlighting some things. In my mind, if you go back to the teaching, leading, learning, in my mind, this is a great place if you're like a reading coach or if you're on the instructional, teaching side of things. You don't necessarily want to get into super techie things. You're not really like a database person. You're not worried about how the data gets from one point to another. You are really the person that's working kind of on the front lines with helping teachers and helping students. This is a great spot for you. We're going to have some people from NEFEC. We're going to have Jake Massey from NEFEC, and then Dr. Shane Fairbairn. You heard him speak earlier. He'll also be joining, talking about the visualization side of things. And of course, at the beginning, it'll be, how NEFEC leverages the ODS to support students. Don't worry if you don't know what the word, if you don't know what an ODS is, it's okay. That's what you'll go to that session for. And then the Ask Me Anything, you'll see that the Ask Me Anything is very common throughout each of these. So if we go to the next one, we've mentioned EdFi, and some of you may, already have an idea of what EdFi is. We heard Troy speak. Maybe you've never met Troy before, but you have an idea of what EdFi is. Then you could probably find a different session. But if this is brand new and you're like, EdFi, what is that? Data standard, what are you talking about? If that kind of thing is brand new for you, and it doesn't matter if you're a techie person, or maybe you're an instructional person and you're really interested in data standards and that type of thing. EdFi 101. Here's kind of like your introduction. Calling all newbies, we want you. We have Sean Casey. He works with EdFi. He's the perfect person to talk to you about what is EdFi, why is Florida Code, why is the collaborative districts in Florida, why are they focused on EdFi, why does EdFi matter, what is the data standard? This is perfect, and you'll notice again at the 11 o'clock time, there will be an Ask Me Anything session. So what we wanted to do this year is facilitate, again, with these Ask Me Anything sessions, the ability to spark conversation so that we're not all isolated in our rooms, across the state. This gives us a chance. So please, please, please don't be shy. Please don't be afraid to ask questions. There are no silly questions. If you're thinking of the question, someone else has thought of it too. I can't tell you how many times where I went ahead and asked a question and I saw a confirmation later. I was like, yeah, I wanted to know that. It's your chance. And as we go to the next page, this is kind of more for if you are a tech person, if you're an analyst, you're an integrator, you like data, you like databases, you're used to seeing files, you're used to trying to get data from one system to another. We have a special track just for you that's talking about integrating data, getting data from one system to another, and how that can speed things up for you, how that can move things along for your district. And then of course the Ask Me Anything, we have so in the Love That Data flow, we have a couple of panelists. I believe it looks like I'm missing a person on it. Looks like, so we've got Mary Beth from Baker, Lanier Clyatt from Union, and we also have Scott Weinman from Florida School for the Deaf and the Blind. That'll be each taking a little bit of time to talk about how they're either used EdFi, currently using EdFi, or have plans to use EdFi. And then also the Ask Me Anything, hit us with your best shot. We have an awesome panel, Brian Boyd from Leon, Aaron Disler from Volusia County, and Daniel Hornsby from NEFEC. We'll all be there available. People that have been using EdFi are members of the collaborative. Here's your chance to ask questions. So we invite you to that. If we go to the next page, you'll see just an overview. Sorry, go back one page. I forgot to highlight. I wanted to highlight this one more time. Each of those tiles that you see there, the little just under the time, if you click that, that will get you into that room. And keep in mind, you will need to there's a room for each session. So when you go, for example, to Love That Data Flow, you'll be in that room for that session. You'll want to click that tile to get you into that session, or you can also click the time or the session title. Any of those things will get you in the individual team's room. You'll do your session in there. When the session is over, you'll close out that room, come back to the agenda, and then when it's time for your next session, again, click on that tile. And it's just a reminder that each of these tracks have those tiles. If you are kind of an overview type person, we can go ahead and go to that next page. If you'd like to just kind of see an overview, this is a great overview. Again, each of those links are clickable. So if you're hopping into Jake and Shane's creating and implementing visualizations, you just click right on that. It'll open up the link necessary to get into that Teams meeting room just for that session. So this is a great overview page. If we go one more, you can see our collaborative members. Here are the 20 or so collaborative members that make up Florida Code. Thank you so much to all of you that are collaborative members. And again, Shane mentioned that steering committee earlier. We actually meet quarterly. This truly is a collaborative effort. The steering committee meets quarterly. They discuss things, with the technology. We actually even did a training. There are 3 members of the collaborative. A member from Volusia, a member from Seminole County, and a member from NEFEC consortium actually facilitated a Power BI training just a month or so ago. It was I think it was around a 2-hour training. We actually have it posted for you, available on our YouTube site. Maybe we can send out a follow-up email or get a link to you somehow. It's just an example of one of the things we like to do. We're collaborating. Hey, there's this tool that everybody uses called Power BI. How do we use it? All right, well, let's collaborate. Let's learn from each other. We're going to be having even more trainings in the future about those same types of things. There's a training on data import, which is a tool that EdFi's created to help load some data through the data standard. I did a training on that for a period of time. There are going to be more things, more trainings and things in the future. If you attended one of those, we really appreciate you attending that. We hope you enjoyed it. So thank you for the collaborative members and all you do. And then our last page here, I believe this is our last page. Get in touch with us. We'd love for you to contact us, whether that be through our website, if you want to just get more information. On our website, we have some resources, so kind of the things that we've already made shareable, whether that be visualizations or data quality things, or even pre-negotiated contracts with certain vendor partners. And then, you can email us, help@floricode.org. And then the last thing I want to highlight is please, 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 we want your feedback from today. That survey is available now. Of course, we're still kind of getting through the day, so we'd love for you towards the end of the day to come back, take that survey, and let us know how it's going today so we can make this event even better in the future. So jumping back over to our slide presentation. We want to round out the morning. We're getting close. 9:50 is our cutoff time for this general session, so we've got about 5 minutes left. We have giveaways. We have 5 giveaways we're doing today. We're really excited about you being here. And if you see that picture there's the giveaway. So it's not just one of those items, it's the whole set. Everything you see there will be given away, and there are 5 sets. We're actually going to do 2 right now. So Shane has a magical wheel, a randomizer wheel, and I think he's going to be bringing that up. Shane, if you want to talk about the wheel, maybe you could explain it a little better than I could, how this is going to work.
Sure, I'm going to click where it says spin, and then it's going to rotate and pick one of these numbers from the roster. And we're going to do that twice. And if your name is picked, then we'll go ahead and contact you and send you out one of those great giveaways as a thank you. So awesome. You just tell me when you're ready to roll.
Take it away, man. I'll let you handle this. Go for it.
Kind of exciting because nobody knows what their number is.
Yeah.
It's all legit, though, I promise. And
boy. All right, 1091.
1091 is Alice Raker from FSU Lab School.
From where?
From FSU Lab School.
How cool. Congratulations, Alice.
All right. Okay, and we'll do one more. Okay, 1025 is, everybody make sure you're looking at your name tag so you know who you are. Chris Clevenger from the Florida School for the Deaf and the Blind.
Wow. Awesome, Chris. Cool. So we've got Alice and Chris. Man, congratulations. You guys will be we'll be getting in contact with you about probably getting your snail mail, your mailing address, so we can get that sent out to you. The other 3 giveaways, if you go to your agenda, we don't have to look at that here, but at the 11 o'clock, the Ask Me Anything set. Each of those sessions will be giving away 1 giveaway. So there are 3 left, 1 per track at the 11 o'clock time. And it will be up to that that presenter lead of that session to determine how they're going to give that away. So please make sure you attend that 11 o'clock Ask Me Anything. There is not there's no general session to kind of end things up. We thought about, well, maybe we could bring everybody back together, but we know your time is very precious. So this is our formal last moment of all being together as one entity. So from my heart, I really thank you for setting aside time, for finding this valuable enough to sign up for to attend today. Thank you so very much. We would love to speak with you. If you have questions, you want to know, if you have a question about Florida Code or whatever, please email those in, and reach out to us and be able to feel free to ask us those questions. Also, there's going to be plenty of Ask Me Anything opportunities in the 11 o'clock time. And then, so if you don't see us there, if you don't get your questions there, you can email and reach out to us.